Hello world, I am Curtis Simpson and this is Jective's Typography News. We are on episode number 6. Tonight I have a little bit more of a structured program, hopefully. I've just got 3 main topics we're going to go over, and hopefully this will be a little bit less chaotic than yesterday. I don't know, maybe chaotic's okay. Um, so let's just go ahead and dive into it. I'm going to talk about words of type. I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with that. I'm going to talk about what MyFonts claims to be the top 20 fonts of June. And then look at a preview of the next release coming from Letterform Archives. I'm going to switch to, there it is. So you can see I have my Notion over here on the left, so that's basically what we're going to do. I've already got my tabs ready tonight, but you can see the first thing on here is Typographics 2025. I just want to mention this today because I did bring it up yesterday. It's going on right now. It's going on, as you can see, from June 23rd until July 3rd. I have no affiliation with them, but I do think that it's worth checking out. The Type Lab might be live right now still, because they don't actually have the times on here. They just have the days. Maybe the full schedule has it on there, but I don't think so. I think it just says like all day. Yeah. So go check those out for sure. And I won't even be mad if you want to go check those out instead of watching this right now, because these are live and they're only live on Zoom. I think tomorrow, the one that's hosted by Cooper Union is going to be on YouTube, so then you should be able to watch the replay of that. But as far as I know, these Type Lab lectures and presentations and stuff, you can watch them right now on Zoom, and I don't know if or when they'll ever actually be published to like replay. I'm also not sure how to get my chat up on this screen, so give me 1 second to try and figure it out. But yeah, I watched some of the videos today I watched some of the presentations today. Am I actually live? I can't even tell. Yes, I am live. Okay, I guess I'll just look at the chat like normal people instead of looking at the studio part. So I watched a few of the presentations today. I was a little bit disappointed. I mean, this would be great if you speak Spanish, but I was a little bit disappointed in the Americas stream, because the Americas stream is actually, as far as I can tell, mostly like South America, Central South America. It was a lot of Spanish, which is great if you can speak Spanish. I'm sure that I'm sure the Spanish speakers many times are hoping that there would be more Spanish presentations and less English. I think that there's probably a lot more English presentations than Spanish, so I don't have any problem with that. There is the European version. Sorry, I'm just seeing myself over on the second monitor. There's the European stream, and then I know the Asian stream starts, I guess, tomorrow. Let's double check. So Type Lab, go here. Yeah, day 1 and 2, they've got Type Lab Americas, Type Lab Europe, and then day 3 and 4 are going to be Type Lab Asia. So it looks like today and tomorrow, if you speak Spanish or English, those probably work out for you. And then I'm not sure if Type Lab Asia is actually going to be in Japanese, Chinese, Korean. I don't know. Maybe it'll be in English too. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on. I just want to point out though that this is going on. Go check this out. And if you have the choice between watching this right now and watching the Typographics, if they're still live right now, go check that out, because it's really cool. And you can come back and watch this. You can watch the replay of me tomorrow. Getting on to the news. This is Words of Type. I bring this up because FontStand News, FontStand is a website that like rents out fonts basically, but they started doing some news. It's not published very often. If you go to their news section, you can see that, you know, they published this on June 10th. then you're looking at May 27th, May 20th, April 15th. So it's not like breaking news or anything, but they do original reporting. They do interviews and things like that. And recently, let's see when this was, 2 days ago, they interviewed Lisa from, oh no, Lisa did, this is an essay. Lisa did an essay for FontStand News. And she's the creator of Words of Type. And Words of Type is really cool, and it's been expanding. It is, let's see if there's an official description about Words of Type, because I don't want to get it wrong. This is mainly what I think of it as being, is an encyclopedia. I guess maybe reading the purpose would be the best place to start. Words of Type Encyclopedia aims to be a useful and accessible tool for everyone interested in typography and type design at all times and from everywhere. Basically, she has French and Chinese background, and read the interview to understand why she created this, why it's useful, her process for creating it, because it's very interesting, but I don't want to rip off the her full essay. It's not an interview, I keep saying that. Go check out her essay on FontStand News. I will link this in description later, but if you want to just look it up, just go to fontstand.com, check out the news section. It's going to be the most recent one. Like I said, it's not a ton of breaking news or anything on there, so you'll find it. But this is the website. I think this is more important than reading the story, but obviously everyone loves a good story. Basically, what you've got is an encyclopedia for typography, and that in and by itself is super cool. I only speak 1.5, I'll say 2, but it's really like I speak English and I speak a little bit of Portuguese. I'm living in Brazil right now, and then I have some Spanish understanding from like high school courses, but then also the Portuguese helps with that a little bit because the structure's incredibly similar. Regardless, this website would be great for people working multilingually. Is that a word, multilingually? Working internationally in a multilingual setting, because it's amazing, and just in general, because you've got all these terms, you know, the terms that you would basically see in any typography book, like a typography 101 type of book, like Thinking with Type or Designing Type, some of the books that we've looked at on objectives, and even more terms, to be honest. But you can see as I'm scrolling through, I'm trying to go slow so that it's like a little bit legible. But there are definitely words that I'm learning by looking at this, and there are terms that I've encountered in, you know, business, working with clients or working with contractors, employers. There are terms that I'm seeing on here that I didn't learn in school, but I learned in real life. And this is amazing. Glyph surface, gravity center. Gravity center is something actually that's covered in the new Thinking with Type. And we'll look at that soon. I have the full flip through coming through soon. Hinting, height. You can see there's just a ton of terms here, and I'm just kind of going through them in alphabetical order. But let's say that you heard someone sent you an email and they were referring to something very specific in a typeface, like an ear, and you're like, what the hell is an ear? You can just go look it up. And I do think that this could be improved upon, but right now it's still pretty good, and it's going to get you where you need to go. So an ear is the little thing that's on the edge, the end of the R, that little terminal right there. Let's go ahead and read what it says. In Latin script, the ear refers to the top right hanging part of the letters like R, F, and G. I mostly think of it as being on the G because I don't have a G to look at real quick. Let's go to this. Maybe we can find one. I mostly think of it, here you go, right here. Oh, can we zoom in on this? I mostly think of it, I just saw one. I tried to zoom in and it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all. Okay, let's zoom back out. basically this right here would be on Crave Fine, that one right there. That little G has an ear on it. It's just like the one, just like the R. I mostly think of it as being on a G. That little ear. But if you'd never heard that term before, you'd be thinking like, what is this person talking about? Maybe you're not a type designer. Maybe you've never really like dealt with type. Maybe you're just getting into graphic design and you've got someone that is very well versed in typography and they refer to an ear. Maybe they want some kind of adjustment or something. Go look it up on Words of Type and you'll probably find what you're looking for. I know you can look it up in other places. You could ask ChatGPT or something like that, but ChatGPT lies constantly. I used to trust it much more than I do now, because now you can just ask it a question and it'll just lie, because it's not actually thinking. It's not a person. This website was created by people, and you can look up things like ear or X height, I'm assuming. Let's look up X height and we'll see. X height, boom. And it tells you the X height is the guideline placed at the top of the Latin letter X. It helps to align other lowercase letters and to set the proportions with uppercase letters and the ascenders. Because the lowercase, we're not going to read the whole thing. But it's a great place, one, to like go and seek out these terms and like learn what they are. It would be like a decent place to kind of just browse through. It's got some interesting visuals and things like that. And maybe you'll come across some terms you haven't heard before. Maybe you can learn something new. But what this entire thing is really created to do is this: Chinese, English, French, German, Japanese, Korean, and Spanish. And if you're working, we'll go on Spanish because that's the only one I have like any sort of understanding of. What is ear? I know in oreja? No. Are we in Spanish? Someone who speaks Spanish right now is laughing right now. I know it's orelia in English, so I just assumed. Let's see. Yes. I spelled it right. I can't believe this isn't in here. Oh, there it is. Oreja. Is that how you say it? But basically, if you were speaking with someone, if you were working on a project that was multilingual and you wanted, and they emailed you, I know you can go look up on Google Translate, but Google Translate doesn't always understand the nuances of, these like sort of like technical but niche terms. So when you're dealing with typography, why in the world are we calling this an ear? You know what I mean? Like someone just decided that's what it was, and now that's what we all call it. And even in Spanish, that's what it's going to be. It's an ear, but it's just translated. I don't know that Google Translate or any of these bots or anything are going to necessarily understand that. And if they do understand this one, maybe they wouldn't understand something else. Basically, you can get very specific, correct information in multilingual settings. How would I say this? In multiple languages. So I don't speak Chinese, French, German, Japanese, or Korean, and I barely understand Spanish, but there are probably a lot of people that are working in 2 or 3 of these settings, and it would be super useful to have a full wiki that, 1, you can understand, that you can share with other people, and that 2, you can use to understand the nuances of typography in another language. Words of Type does have, sorry, my nose itches. Words of Type does have a YouTube channel, so you can see that here. Zoom in a little bit. They've just got 4 episodes so far streamed over the last 9 months, but recently they had one just about 2 weeks ago, and they have speakers from all over the world on there that are working in many different languages. And it's really cool, even if you're not interested in designing typography, it's really interesting to see the different perspectives and just kind of see this like meeting of the minds where it's like 6, 7 different people in 5 different countries, and they're all speaking English on the video, but they're working in all these different languages using all these different alphabets. And Words of Type just kind of brings all these people together. Sorry, my microphone's right there. So they do have YouTube, they do have Blue Sky, and Lisa did an essay in for FontStand News that I think is worth checking out if you want some inspiration about creating your own project, or you just want to understand a little bit about how this came to be, the history, why she did it, and why it exists now, what the future might be for it. Let's move on. MyFonts sent out an email. This is the version that they say, when you get an email and it says, view this in browser, this is the version that you can view in the browser. And they gave what they top 20 fonts in June. So it says, trending now, top 20 fonts of June. We've seen a high interest in these top font styles recently and want you to be in the know. We highlight really amazing fonts and foundries throughout the years, but we want to bring you the top 20 fonts of June. So I say they claim that these are like the top 20 fonts. Let me get a drink. Because I don't know how these are being chosen. If we go to all fonts, number 1 is Helvetica. These top fonts, like the actual bestsellers, like I said yesterday, typography moves slow. These things rarely change. Helvetica is their number 1. Helvetica Now is number 1. New Helvetica is number 2. Gotham is number 3. Avenir Next, number 4. Gilroy, number 5. Avenir, number 6. Like, are we seeing a pattern here? It's just a bunch of workhorse sans serif typefaces that are always going to be on the top of the charts because they're just good and they're going to do what you need them to do, and they work for UI and they work for everything. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're always like the hottest fonts. Like if you think about I doubt that the top played music ever, that would basically be what these are. I doubt the top best-selling music ever is also like the hottest. So maybe they're thinking, okay, these are the hot fonts. This here is MyFonts' top-selling fonts released in the last 50 days, updated hourly. And they've got a little like stock ticker type thing here, like up from number 42. Right now it's number 41. Right now it's number 1 and it's the hottest font. Oh no, this is number 42 bestseller, but it's number 1 in the trending, like the hot fonts. So even these, you've got Performa, Grotesque, Dami, Animal, Crave Fine, Paltic. That's a new one. But yeah, so all these have to be within the last 50 days. But you can see these are the actual like hot fonts, the top 12. It looks like maybe you'd think there would be more. But these are their hot fonts. These are the best sellers. So I don't know where they're getting this list. And when we take a look at it, this is entirely speculation, but my speculation is that these are just like editorial choices, or maybe these are fonts that they want to push. I don't know. Let's see. You can see number 1 here though is La Femme Vibe. This is a little bit different than what showed up in my email, which was Submariner. So the other 19 fonts are all the same, except number 1 was Submariner. But when you go to open it in the browser, it's La Femme Vibe. So this is another reason, like maybe that was a mistake, but it would be a huge mistake to make the top font the wrong font. And it's not even a font that's on the entire list, right? I can understand if it's like number 2 and number 1 got mixed up or something like that, and then they switched it. Submariner's not even, it's not the same foundry. It's not, yeah, this is Typefleet. And then La Femme is Jolicia. These aren't even, there's nothing about these that are the same. So the fact that they could mess up the number 1 that much makes me believe that this is just an editorial marketing thing. But like I said, that's entirely speculation. what is objectively true is that this is what they're saying are the top 20 trending fonts. So I thought that we'd look at them and we could see like what they're claiming are, you know, what people are most interested in. So I haven't gone through most of these, but like we saw here, you know, these are the workhorses. These are all the fonts that you know and love. I think you have to go all the way down to like number 10, 11, 12. What are we at? We're at 12 before you start getting anywhere away from anything. Honest is number 13. That's the first one that's not like a 50-year-old font that's been, you know, revived over and over and over. That's just Arial. I know that it's in a different language, but it's just Arial. Yeah, you can see most of these are just all of the fonts that we're very, very familiar with. So this top 20 list, it's not that. It's also not the hot fonts. Maybe there might be some overlap here, but let's go ahead and see what they're claiming are the top 20. We'll just burn through a bunch of these real quick, I guess. Maybe I should have opened all of these as well. But we'll do the top 10 first and then we'll move on. Let's go ahead and look at Submariner though, because, you know, it was on there and now it's not. You can see like this one made sense to me because it is pretty workhorse-y. You know, it's not a new typeface and these don't necessarily have to be new. Let's see when this was released. This was released in 2016, at least on MyFonts. It may have actually been released before that, but I'm not going to go look into that right now. But this would make sense to me being like kind of a trending, but also a best-selling font. You know, it looks versatile. I don't know much about Typefleet, but the font looks nice. They've got a bunch of different weights. You know, it's a little playful. It looks it looks fine, and that's what you would kind of expect out of like a number one font. You know, we saw the real number one is just Helvetica. Let's close out some of these other ones. But this is what they're saying is the real number one. Just one weight. It's a display font called La Femme Vibe. I don't even think that it has lowercase letters. Let's test it out. Does this have lowercase? No, it doesn't. So I could definitely see this being trendy. This isn't me talking any kind of trash about this. It looks like a nice font. I wish that they would show these specimens larger. These specimens are incredibly small. And it's the most interesting part of the web page. So Monotype, MyFonts, if you're paying attention, make these big. Like, why are they so small? I'm fine having the testers down here, but that doesn't mean you couldn't have like a big hero banner right here that you can flip through a slideshow. But yeah, these look nice. I mean, it seems like they have some different, you can't look at them, but let's see if we can open this in the background real quick. Yeah, it's still small. Maybe we can, I'm not going to go through and edit all that. If I was really going to be a nerd right now, we could go through and edit that and, you know, we could look at these closer, but it does look like they have like some different open type features and things like that. So that's cool. This is what they're saying is number one. You can tell it's very, you know, it's called La Femme Vibe. You can tell it's very trendy. You know, it's what we've seen for the last few years. This uppercase sort of like Art Nouveau, I guess, style. Yeah. Okay, that's their number one. Number two is Black Falcon. Let me make sure. Let me close some of these other ones. Yeah, so we're on number two, Black Falcon. Oh, I think my light's dying. That's all right. We still got the big one. Just one weight there too. It's another display font. This one's a modern display font. It looks fine. I don't know how this segment of the news is gonna go. I don't have much interesting to say about this, and it's very frustrating that they won't show you these much larger. Let's see if we can zoom in on them. I don't know. These look cool. You know, it is what it is. It's a modern typeface. I guess we could read what it says. It says, Black Falcon is my new elegant serif font that will give your project a touch of luxury and style. Debuted in 2023. I think this could use some copywriting. It looks cool, but okay. Number 2 is a modern typeface, Black Falcon. Number 3, I think we're starting to see a trend here. But this is good. Maybe these really are the trends, and this is what people are using. You can see again, it's kind of what you see on like the back of t-shirts, what you see on Instagram. You know, it's what we've been seeing for years now. I really wish you could see these images larger. I just can't comprehend why they don't make these bigger. And the light's back somehow. This looks nice though. I mean, if you needed, I guess I just don't have much to say about these types of fonts because I feel like they're very specific to particular projects. And so like if you needed this vibe for a project, I can understand going and grabbing a font like Megonzo, I guess it's called, Megonzo Regular. And, you know, it's a $10 font. So $20, $15 if you want the family, $10 for the italics, $10 for the regular. Alias, this is number 3. Or no, this is number 4. Alias is number 4. Another, you know, affordable typeface. This one looks like it's only italic. Yeah, it's got the big swashes on top of the A's. So it has 2 styles. I'm not necessarily, I see, okay, they're just saying between bold and regular, there are 2 styles. I thought maybe there was something more interesting. But it looks like a nice, you know, they're kind of positioning it in like a fashion magazine way, I would say. Like kind of like a, I don't know, like a Vogue or something like that. Okay. Another one that's basically exactly the same. Yeah, Balkist. These aren't exactly the same, but if you weren't into typography and you didn't see the nuances, you could be flipping through these and you just be like, are these the same font? Like if I showed these to my mom or my wife, they wouldn't know the difference between these. They wouldn't care less. If you could replace one with the other in a brand and they wouldn't even notice the difference. And that's, why should they? You know, that's why we're here looking at this. You're watching the Typography News, so of course you're going to see this, but like a normal person, it will never notice this. It reminds me of people that are super into watches. Like on the watch forums, people will talk about their watches and stuff, and then they're like, the reality is only people, I don't know, I have my chapstick. The reality is only people into watches notice watches. You know, a normal person that doesn't care about watches doesn't care how much your watch costs, doesn't care like that it's a limited edition. And I think that's how these typefaces are too. Like we care about these, but you can see the trend right now. You know, all the top 5 of these for June are all pretty similar. I mean, Black Falcon, was it Black Falcon? Yeah, Black Falcon was the most different, but that was just because it was the boldest version, you know, the most modern version of it. This one's the deepest so far though. You know, it's got 6 styles on it. Oh no, 14 styles it says. Let's see, Artos. This one's interesting, I guess. They're positioning it with a sneaker. Maybe they're thinking of this as being, it looks very futuristic. I don't know that I'd put it with a sneaker, but I guess it could work with sports. You know, if you're trying to get that like sports technology, you know, Nike's always trying to do that. All the sports brands are trying to do that, right? They've got, you know, whenever Dry Fit came out or whenever Under Armour came out, it was like the newest technology. And then you look at the tag and it's like 100% polyester, 100% cotton. Like they'll just name things whatever they want. And a font like this can help make that happen. This is a very aggressive font. I can definitely see this being like, since this is the most different out of these so far, we can sit and talk about it for a second. But you could see this being like, you could see this being like something like that was going to be super fast, or something from space. Wow, this type tester is not super fast, that's for sure. Yeah, it's still not going, is it? But they've got their advertisement on there for the 30-day free trial. Let's go ahead and refresh this. There it goes. Super fast. Little bit of a kerning issue there, but that would probably work itself out in you know, Adobe or Affinity products. I would hope, but you would also hope that it worked itself out here. There might even be alternatives for that A. Let's see if we can see the glyphs. 205 glyphs, so not super deep. Yeah, I don't think there are any alternatives for that A there. Yeah. But in the right context, it looks like it would be kind of cool. You know, it's kind of like a Star Trek vibe. I could see you using this for like anything that you wanted to be kind of futuristic, I guess. Gummy Bloom. That's kind of interesting, I guess. You know, we looked at a comic book font yesterday, Pronzo, from oh gosh, Dalton Mag. I don't know. I never know if it's Dalton Mag or Dalton Mog. It's got two A's in it. Yeah, I'm probably sounding dumb right now because they're a huge foundry. Here's an immediate problem with a font like this, though. And I know we can't see it very big, but let's see how much we can zoom in on this. And they're super low res, even when you're zoomed in. This enjoy every moment, what does that look like? It looks like joy. It looks like an H. And maybe that actually is an H. It's by a non-native English speaker. Husband and wife from Bali. Honestly, that might be an H. Let's go ahead and type it out and we'll see. I think that they did accidentally put an H there because look, enjoy. You can see it in the snap there. So I think that actually is a type. Huh. That's not a typo. But look whenever it said snap before. Let's reset this. They must have alternatives. Yeah, that's not great because that's an N. I typed an N right there, snap. So this just wouldn't be a usable typeface. And that's what kind of makes me wonder, like, how is this a top 20 trending font? Someone that's not into typography isn't going to come pay $12 for a font. They're not. They're going to download a free font from Google. They're, you know, if they even know how to get a font, they're going to pirate a font for free. They're going to use Canva. And this is no disrespect to whatever the Scratch design. But that's not a good design, that N right there. It looks like Shap. It doesn't look like Snap. No part of that looks like an N. Let's see if we can look at the glyphs and we'll see what's going on. So if you look at the glyphs, it does look like they might, no, they don't have alternates. Maybe this is just displaying it wrong because look, here's the N right here. And that N looks great. I can tell that that's an N. But for whatever reason, maybe for whatever reason, when you type an N, you get an H. Unless there's an alternate. Yeah, it looks like there's an alternate N. So this is the default N right here that you're gonna get. So unless you turn on alternates and like switch up the N every time to get the more distinct N that's like a little bit further down here, it looks like that's what you're gonna get. And I just don't think that someone like you or I who's watching this is gonna go on MyFonts and pay $12 or $20 for a typeface that you have to constantly fiddle with and adjust like letter by letter alternates. It looks like a fun typeface though, but just things like that make me wonder if this is really a top 20 font. Let's go ahead and go through a few more. We'll just go through the top 10 because I'm kind of getting bored of this myself. Maybe we'll see what the other ones are, like super fast. Script font, we've all seen this before. This isn't something new. I can understand why this is trending though. There are probably some wedding invitations and stuff going out this summer. Okay, this is kind of interesting. We don't see, you don't see a ton of like black letter, Fracture. Yeah, that's cool. It's a little bit more, It's a little bit less harsh, right? That's cool. I wish that we could see these specimens larger, but that looks nice. Black Sigra, I guess, by Sign Studio. Again, all of these are super affordable, which I do appreciate. So far, they're all display typefaces. I think maybe one of them wouldn't be considered a display typeface, the one that had like 14 different styles. I like that. Talica. So I think Talica was like number 10, or yeah, Talica was number 10. Let's go ahead and look through the bottom 10 of these. I like that a lot. It's a condensed typeface. A nice tall X height on it. It's super clean. Let's see what they say about it. Often, okay. Talica is an extra condensed grotesque typeface designed to steal the show. I would argue that so far, out of these top 10, it has stolen the show. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. It's meticulously, they're missing an apostrophe there. It's meticulously crafted, ultra compressed letterforms pack a powerful punch. Agreed. Allowing you to create impactful headlines and captivating displays even in the most space restricted environments. Great description. I would say that it's accurate. One of the reasons why I named this publication Jectives, there are 3 sort of like jectives that I wanted to include. I wanted to have objective reporting, objective news, and I'm constantly trying to like be as objective as possible when I'm reporting this stuff, because I don't think most of the news is. But I also know that it's entirely impossible to be 100% objective. So I try to be as much as I can, but there are going to be times when I'm doing a review or when I'm talking about typefaces like this, and I'm going to be subjective. But the third one was adjectives. And a lot of times typefaces, in an attempt to appear in as many searches as possible, they include a bunch of adjectives and tags and stuff that are not related. You'll look for a script font in Adobe Fonts, and you'll get some basic ass sans serif that doesn't even remotely resemble a script. And it's incredibly frustrating. So I wanted to use accurate adjectives when I was describing these typefaces. And I don't know that all of these tags necessarily apply. They probably just clicked everything that might work, but I don't see anything that's like a gross mischaracterization. What I do think is that this one quick one-liner, 2-sentence, 2-liner about the typeface, this is a great, accurate description of what the font is. It doesn't have any marketees. It doesn't have any like nonsense. Just like, here's what it is. I appreciate that. I'm not going to go ahead and not going to read all of this, but I do think that we'll look at the key features here real quick. It says extra readability, exceptional readability. Okay. I think we need both. Variable font, that's good to know. Multi-purpose, sure. And global support. So they're letting you know how many glyphs it has in it. It does seem like a pretty complete font. Let's check the glyphs. 400 glyphs, but you can look how condensed that is. So I'm assuming it's 400 glyphs per weight. But yeah, I really like this. And I'm not familiar with Unio Creative Solutions, but I'm definitely going to add them to, my database of foundries. I'm a fan of this, and I'm going to keep the tab open because I want to come back to that later. Let's go ahead and pen it. If I can find the pen. I don't see the pen. It's fine. Let's go ahead and get through. We'll try to burn through these last top 10 as fast as possible. So none of these are necessarily new releases, but these are what Monotype is considering to be their top 20 trending fonts for June. And I was really trying to resist not putting this chapstick on, but my lips are so dry. Much better. Now we're getting back to like what we had before. Number 11, oh gosh, I don't even know. Van Gogh. We'll go with that. Van Gogh. Let's reset this. Van Gogh is, it looks nice, but it looks like what we've been seeing, and it's kind of what you expect from the trending fonts. You do want something that's going to be usable. I think we're probably peak we've passed the peak of this Art Nouveau typography wave. So, these will be trending for a little bit, but how would you say it? People chasing trends are always behind. And so the people that are like, people are trying to mimic what they've seen for the last few years, and brands are wanting to use these types of things that they've been seeing other people use on Instagram or TikTok or on, magazines and stuff. So it makes sense that these are trending. I don't think that I would invest like my actual brand identity into something like this, but it looks great. I'm not saying that's nothing bad about this. Just looking at this, just looking at the name of the font right here, it looks great. Just 200 glyphs, so it's not super deep, but they do have some nice ligatures here. Yeah, those look really cool. I could see this being useful. I just don't, it's not a super deep font, but $30, maybe that's worth it in the right situation. Willpower Slab. This is the first slab serif that we've seen. And when I was in school, slab serifs were like king. Every single one of these is going to say sap on it because I don't know, because I typed that. But yeah, slab serifs were so popular. I think it was because of Museo, even though Museo wasn't like actually a slab serif, it was that weird sort of hybrid. But yeah, Memphis and Rockwell made a huge comeback. Maybe it was just in Las Vegas, but like it was super popular. And to me, this feels like 2013, 2014. But you love to see it. I love a good slab serif. I don't know that Willpower is a good one. But it is on Monotype's trending fonts. That's interesting. Mac. Looks like it's got a ton of weights. What does this say? 26 styles. So it looks pretty deep. It looks pretty unique. I don't think that it's the most readable typeface, so I'm not sure that you need all of these different weights, but I would always rather have more weights than not enough. So it is nice to see that. Let's see the description and see how they're envisioning this being used. Mac is a display font. Okay, at least they got that right. Mac is a display font with a Ukrainian feeling inspired by Ukrainian music. Interesting. This is a big update to the first free 2 styles of Mac. Okay, so I guess a couple of them were created for free in 2019 and become widespread among free display fonts. The big update wasn't, man, this is not native English. I'm going to read it how it says, how it's on there. Just know that this is quoted. The big update wasn't been only adding more weights and contrast, but also changing a lot of glyphs and adding new ones. Now Mac supports all Latin-based languages and European Cyrillic. Experiments with historical forms, contrast, and daring shapes to create a new image of Ukrainian Cyrillic and Latin based on it. I can 100% see this trending, if for no reason other than, there's probably people seeking out Ukrainian design stuff. The last, how long has it been now? 2 or 3 years? I could understand why something like this would be trending just based on the search alone. Let's type something in here and we'll see if it actually types. Let's just go with the default. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. I don't know. It's got some heavy points in it, but any high contrast is going to have that. Even in the lower weights, it's got some heavy spots, in my opinion. But I don't know that my opinion matters. We're just kind of looking at what is supposedly the top 20 fonts for June, and Mac is on Monotype's list. Looks like it is $21 per typeface, $191 for the full set. That would be a tough sell for me personally, but maybe you're super into Ukrainian music and you want a font inspired by just that, and Mac would have you set. Next up is OV Autograph Duospace. Let's see what number we're at here. We're at number 14 now. Autograph. Man, I really wish that I didn't type SAP into all these. Also, let's just get rid of this. Okay. Let's get rid of this upsale. Boom. Gone. Autograph Duospace. We're seeing a little more slab serif. It's kind of it's not a full slab serif though, is it? It's it's got some serif elements to it, but it's kind of a sans. Let's see what they're describing it as. Hey there, we know finding the perfect font can be a real challenge. Critique, don't do that. No one it's not the right space to do that. Okay. Hey there, we know finding the perfect font can be a real challenge. That's why we're excited to introduce OV Autograph Duospace font family. Unlike the usual monospace fonts, I didn't even notice. OV Autograph has a cool duospace design that brings fresh modern vibes to any project. So far, you have told me nothing about the typeface. Whether you're working on web design, branding, or editorial layouts, this font has you covered. Plus, you'll get future updates. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that description. I don't hate the font. Like, the font might be good. OV type though, please redo your description, because this is very interesting. So it is monospaced, I guess. Monospaced. It looks almost like it's a mono line too. It might not be exactly a mono line, but it looks very similar. Yeah. I'm digging the character map here. I'm not sure why the characters are all out of order. But yeah, I could see this being useful. Let's see if this actually is monospace though. No, it's not. I'm not sure why they're bringing up monospace, because those I's are clearly taking up way less space than the S's. No, it's not a monospace font. Okay. Autograph, you are number 14, I guess. A stencil. I've never been a big fan of stencil fonts, but I'm not going to hate on this just because of that. It looks interesting. It basically looks like, I mean, and I do think that this is what it is. I think this is basically a modern font that they made so high contrast that the skinny parts of it disappeared, and then they're just calling it a stencil. I can definitely see this working in the right situation. Yeah, it's cool. I could see it maybe. I don't know what you would use it for, but I could see it being trending. I can see this trending in the right setting. Yeah, it's interesting. And fonts, a stencil. Caliant font by Sign Studio. So we have another one by Sign Studio. And this is just my little conspiracy brain again, I guess, but like it's entirely speculation. Let's refresh and get rid of that advertisement. Sign Studio being on here twice for trending. Again, speculation, entirely subjective, not the news, but my speculation here is that Monotype is pushing certain studios, or maybe these studios are just kind of popping right now, I guess. But why? Is there something special about this? It's got a little bit of character to it. I could see the appeal. I just don't see this trending. I don't see this, You know, I haven't seen designs in this style. Maybe we'll see this trending in the next 3 months, I guess. Sign Studio again. Caliant. Let's see how many typefaces they have on here. Oh, I like that one. Milky Vintage. That's nice. You know, it looks like a bunch of other fonts, but it looks like they have some swashes and it looks like they have some, oh, what do you call it? Oh, Black Sigro is their other one. Yeah, that was the one that I said that I liked. Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on Sign. These are nice. Yeah, so I could see how they could have two trending, because if you found one that you liked and then you wanted to go look and you could find the second one. Sure. Sign Studio. Okay. This is Hinabella by Coco Design. Let's refresh this. Yeah, handwriting font. We've seen it, right? Let's see the description. Hinabella script is a modern handwriting calligraphy design, including regular. I think that's enough. Hexy fonts, again by Sign Studio. Sure. Chat disconnected, reconnected. Hopefully this is working out fine. If not, I don't think there's anyone watching anyways. We'll be okay. Glimp rounded, 44 more. Oh my goodness, this is a huge typeface. See, I could see how something like this would be trending for sure, because it's a very usable typeface. 54 styles in the package. I wonder if this is a variable font. See the glyphs here. 452 glyphs in the font. Open type. Sure. Glimp, I like it. Who made this one? Glimp by 17.5. Okay. Looks like you could get one of those weights for free too. We're almost done with these. This is the last one. Gizmo. And once again, let's refresh to get rid of the advertisement. Wow. Oh, 79 for the variable. So this is one thing that I found interesting, is how foundries are approaching variable fonts. Because before, you would need to buy every weight to get like the full typeface. Now you can buy just a variable font, just one file, and use the axes to basically get the same thing as all of these static typefaces. So it's interesting to see. You can buy the complete family for 79 bucks, and I think that that's going to include the variable font. Or you can just buy the variable font for 79 bucks probably. Okay, without being able to like see these specimens larger, it's hard to know what this font's doing. I think this is, if we've taken anything away from this, speculation aside, it's that MyFonts, monotype, make the specimens bigger. We can't really see the vision of what these typefaces are supposed to be just with this. It's great to be able to see the specimens. These type designers, these foundries, they put a lot of effort into these specimens. We want to look at them in bigger than like 100 by 200 pixels, please. All right, let's move on to something more exciting. And it's actually going to be the last thing we look at today, but it is Letterform Archive's next release. Let me get a drink of water, like always. Letterform Archive's next release is not a book. It's not a collection. It is, I guess maybe you could call this a collection, but it's not like an art installation, art collection that you can go look at. It is postcards. They're calling them note cards, but since you're sending them out, I would call them postcards. Maybe postcards don't have envelopes, do they? A selection of lively stenciled embellishments by W.A. Dwiggins, reproduced in a suite of 20 note cards with accompanying envelopes. I think these look amazing. W.A. Dwiggins is William Addison Dwiggins, and he was... Let's go ahead and read the description. William Addison Dwiggins, let me make this bigger so you can read along with me if you prefer that. William Addison Dwiggins was among the most influential and innovative artists of his generation. So he lived from 1880 to 1956. He experimented with a wide variety of passions, including as a master calligrapher, type designer, illustrator, marionette artist, and private press printer. I think that's the coolest part. A pioneer of advertising, magazine, and book design, he was also a quintessential maker, fabricating his own tools, mastering traditional skills, and inventing new techniques. His most notable projects include his many book designs for publisher Alfred A. Knopf for Alfred, and his typefaces Metro, Electra, and Caledonia. And we're going to take a look at those. So this book, it says that it's going to be published September 9th, but if you look up here, or not this book, but these note cards, but up here, I think that it says expected release date is July 18th. So if you order them now, you're available for pre-order, and they will be released somewhere between July 18th and, what does this say? September 9th. But it's 20 unique note cards with envelopes and a keepsake box. I'm not sure why you would need the keepsake box, because hopefully you're going to send these out. You've got 20 envelopes. I really hope, I mean, it's cool to just have these and look at them, but I really hope people buy these and share them and actually use them and write little notes for their friends and, you know, share some piece of typographic history, even though these aren't typography. A lot of these were included in books on like chapter pages or you know, the front matter of a book and things like that. I don't necessarily know all of these, but we'll look at some of his stuff here in a second, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and read this here. It says, in the 1920s, graphic designer William Addison Dwiggins developed a delicate visual language composed of tiny geometric elements. He cut these modular shapes into celluloid stencils and used them to create abstract typographic ornaments, elegant architectural motifs, intricate page borders, and delightful all-over patterns in his book designs. Dwiggins referred to these organic vignettes, which he first experimented with in woodblock printing, as sprigs, leaves, and flowers. Initially printed in a commercial booklet of paper samples, Dwiggins' cheerful decorations find a new home in this stationery set, printed on special paper and presented in a keepsake box. Okay, so these were specifically created in a commercial booklet of paper samples, I guess. That's interesting. You know, when you see his work, and let's go ahead and jump over to it. There's his Wikipedia, but I think one of the best ways to see his work is to go to the Internet Archive. If you want to learn more about him, you could go to the Wikipedia and kind of get like a quick breakdown. You can see all the typefaces that he created, and we'll look at some of those in a minute. You can see those of these creepy marionettes. But Letterform Archive quite literally wrote the book on him. They created this book that is available right here on the Internet Archive. So Letterform Archive on the Internet Archive. But they've uploaded it here for you to be able to borrow, and you can keep reading it as long as you're using it, and then once you stop using it, someone else will be able to borrow it. But this was published in 2017. There were only 2,200 copies printed. Maybe they'll do a reprint at some point, maybe not, but this is scanned in. And you can see it's basically a biography about W.A. Dwiggins, A Life in Design, written and designed by Bruce Kennett. And you can see here at the bottom, Letterform Archive publication number 1. It's got an introduction by Stephen Heller. And you can see immediately right here, let's see if we can make this big. You can see right here that similar, you know, that style that we're seeing in these note cards. You can see it. Oh goodness, where were we? Right here in the front matter of this book. You know, it's the table of contents, and this illustration's just thrown in there. But I do think this might be a book worth checking out. I have so many books to go through for reviews and flip through for this channel. But if there's any interest at all, I will take any excuse to pick up another book. This one might be kind of hard to get to, but this is where I would start. But Letterform Archive does have collections. They have these different exhibits that they've done. So they do have other things going on if you're in San Francisco. I'm 90% sure they're in San Francisco. Let's see at the bottom. Yeah, they're in San Francisco. So if you are in San Francisco, you're taking a trip to there, you might be able to catch something at Letterform Archive. And if you're not familiar with Letterform Archive, it's exactly what it sounds like. It is an archive. It's right here. Letterform Archive is a nonprofit center for inspiration, education, and community. Okay, that doesn't really describe it to me, but it's a nonprofit. But they do a ton of archival collections and exhibits and books and things like this note card and reproductions and like really, really cool stuff. And they do courses and they do webinars, all about typography. And like 90% of it, maybe more, is this historical matter, and they give context to it, and they do just a really, really good job at preserving and presenting typography. So definitely check them out. But we're looking at W.A. Dwiggins. We've seen the biography here that they published. Let's look at the artist, or not the artist, the author's name again, just to give him another shout out. Bruce Kennett, written and designed by Bruce Kennett. Very well designed, Bruce. And hopefully I will have a chance to read it. Let's go ahead and return this in case one of you are watching and would like to borrow it right now. Can't say enough good stuff about the Internet Archive either. If you're not familiar, which I'm sure all of you are, if you're not, go check out Internet Archive. They have tons of books, especially ones that are beyond the copyright. So anything that's like 100 years old or 120 years old, you can just download the PDF of it. Other ones like this, you can borrow, which is almost just as good because, you know, these types of books, not a lot of people are looking into. I did want to show you some of the typefaces that were listed on his Wikipedia page. These are mostly going to be, all of these are going to be revivals, obviously. So they're going to be revivals, they're going to be homages, but these are what Monotype MyFonts has listed as being related to W.A. Dwiggins. We've got Examiner NF by Nick's Font, so Examiner by Nick's Fonts. I love the specimen there. Grosse Pointe Metro, so that's going to be a revival of Metro. Dwiggins Deco. Metro Medium, another revival of Metro, Metro Light. So Metro had #1 and #2. I'm not sure. We would have to look and see what the difference was between those. Electra, there's the other one that was mentioned. Got Winchester, Elante, Transitional 521. 521 and 511 were actually, oh goodness, I think those were actually Electra. Because some of these typefaces had multiple names for them. When you would look in Foundry books where you could like purchase typefaces and stuff, sometimes they would be named one thing, and then in a different market, they would be named something else. So there's this interesting thing where the same font would have two different names. Geometric 415, I'm 90% sure that's probably just another version of Metro, but you can see Metro, 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 Electra. So it looks like Bitstream, Linotype, ITC, Monotype, and Nick's Fonts, along with a couple of others, have done revivals. So if you did find something when you were looking at Dwiggins and you were like, oh, I love this typeface, I wonder if I can get it, you might be able to get a revival of it on MyFonts. Or somewhere entirely different. I have no skin in this game. I just thought, since we were looking at MyFonts earlier, that we could look at MyFonts for this section. So that's going to be it. Once again, I would highly recommend checking out Typographics. If you're watching this on the 25th or the 26th and you speak Spanish or you speak English, I think that you will enjoy the European or the Americas Type Lab presentations, they're literally going all day long. I popped in and out. I went to the gym, I came home, I cooked food, and I was looking at it again. This morning I was watching it. When I was getting ready for this, I was watching it. It's really cool. I saw some very interesting. Let me go ahead and get back to the face cam. Where are we at? I saw some really interesting presentations from people that I wasn't familiar with, some people that I was familiar with. We talked about dual type yesterday. Jen Ramirez, he was hosting the America's version, and he was speaking in Spanish, so I understood like 5% of it, but it was still cool to watch and see the typography, because a lot of the typography is actually in English, because that's a big market for Latin typography. But the presentations themselves, at least the ones that I caught for the Americas, were in Spanish, and then the European ones were in English. So if you speak either one of those two languages, tomorrow is going to be the last day for the Type Labs presentations, but there's still a whole bunch of stuff going on for Typographics in New York this summer for the next 10 days or whatever. So check that out, typographics.com. Again, no affiliation with anything we talked about today, but I just think it's cool, worth sharing. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for another typography news. Tomorrow we'll have number 6. So have a good night or have a good day whenever you're watching this. And I will see you next time. Bye.